having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here. And you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here and we have another guest lined up for y'all today. Today, our guest, his name is John Bacon, and he is living proof that rock bottom can be solid ground if you decide to build from it. He's walked through the furnace of fatherlessness, bankruptcy, divorce, and addiction. And he stepped out carrying blueprints for you to know life on purpose, because when you understand that setbacks can be opportunities, sometimes things happen for a reason. Well, he's going to not just share his story, he's going to share with us a lot of the wisdom and insight that he has. So first and foremost, I want to welcome you, John Bacon, to the show. Say, how you doing, man?
Appreciate you, Shmai. Thank you, brother, for having me on your show. Super grateful.
I know you do a lot, and we're just going to cut right to the chase. When you think about the opportunities you've been able to have, not just to build your platform, but also showcasing your life experiences, kind of tell us a little bit about what you do now.
Currently, I am a clinical support specialist at a drug and alcohol rehab. Been doing that for 8 years. Also working in a psych ward on Wednesdays, going in there and telling them about the love of God and how they can change their life and have a better quality of life.
When you think about what you had to do, hitting rock bottom, that can be a dark chapter in anyone's life. What do you believe helped get you back on track, and also not just getting healthier and better mentally, but also preparing yourself to serve others?
Yeah, well, I'm a firm believer in having a whole life, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, and in relationships. So that's always been a big one for me. When I had hit my rock bottom financially, when I had to file for bankruptcy back in 2007, it was a rough blow because I'm working 2 jobs. My wife was working, and we just had more a month at the end of the money. So it was like, man, to have to get to the point where you have to file rock bottom and say file for bankruptcy, man, and knowing that everything that you've worked for, man, is gone, and we got to start from scratch. And we had 4 kids at the time with 1 on the way. So it was a daunting task at the moment, but knowing that, God will never let you, bear, more than you can put on you, more than you can bear. And when we kind of really get that, like, man, God, I know you got my back. And I know sometimes you feel like the whole world and gave up on you. But when you got your faith, man, that's a major component. And then after the whole bankruptcy thing, they ended up going through a divorce anyway with my first wife, man. That was earth shattering for me. Because, coming from fatherlessness, coming from my mom being married and divorced 3 times, knowing that was, kind of like almost you would say a stronghold on our family. I was like, Lord, I just can't see this, man, because I want to have the best life I can possibly have. And to be honest with you, he showed me signs at the beginning of the dating process that I didn't take heed to. And I highly suggest to anybody, man, that when you see the red flags in a relationship, man, don't lie to yourself. Don't want the relationship more than you want the person that you're in the relationship with. So I think that's something that we really got to work on is making sure, man, when that gut feeling hits you, when you feel like God is telling you something is off, man, please pay attention, man, to that, because that's a big one that a lot of people, overlook.
Once again, listen to I Am Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, John Bacon. Go to his website. He has a website you can go visit. It's kingdomservantsfirst.com. When you think about how opportunities can come with a lot more work, right? So it's not like it's a new opportunity and you haven't made in the shade and just sipping lemonade and life is great. It's more deep work and kind of rebuilding the framework. What did that look like for you? And when did you notice that this is my chance to get things back in order?
Well, it was going back to at the root of it when it's all said and done, who the wonderful 5 questions I always love for people to ask themselves as much as I ask myself is, who am I? And my name is John Bacon, child of God. Where did I come from? I came from the mind of God. What are you supposed to be doing on this planet? And it's teaching people and helping people be encouraged to do the best they can possibly do with their lives, whether it's getting closer to God, whether it's having a great marriage like I have now, taking care of your health. I'm a firm believer that God has a foundation that you're supposed to stand on, that if all hell breaks loose, you can always go back to that foundation. And if you stand on that, man, life is going to be sweet. So it was knowing that after I hit rock bottom, I had to rebuild my foundation because, the roof had came off the building, the walls had been knocked down, but my foundation was still solid. So I knew if I could just stand on this foundation and get myself through this, focusing on God and focusing on, self-love, which is a big one, I could actually get through this, man. And with my kids' help, with the love of my friends and family, man, it was truly a blessing to know that you got to have that support system around you as you're trying to get your life back in order.
You talk about signals earlier, and good point to kind of highlight even deeper, because a lot of times we see signals and they're very faint. They're not as loud at first, and then we really don't notice them until it's a little bit too late. It's been in our face for so long, and then once we want to actually listen to the signals, at this point, trouble is present. It is no longer a distant thing. It's something that's right in our face. When you think from that perspective and what you gain from that experience, how has that helped you navigate future opportunities and understanding what you should pay attention to in case you feel like I might need to switch gears here or head a different direction?
Yeah. And in each area, it's a little bit different, because I'm a firm believer, man, whatever you can do to hit that truth serum in any area of your life, I pray that people will listen to the truth serum. So in finances, the truth serum is the credit report. I can say all kind of things of how I'm successful financially and do all that, but the credit report ain't gonna lie to me. When our health is kind of like jacked up and I can lie to myself and say, my health is all right. When you stand on that scale or you go to the doctor to get that yearly physical, ain't no getting around it. When you test that relationship out by like really asking yourself the question, like, do I really feel in my heart beyond a shadow of a doubt, is this the one for me? Some of you, when it comes to my relationship with my first wife, my best friend, I'm 57 currently. And my boy, me and him been friends since we were 6. And, he was telling me, John, I don't think you should do it, man. But pride and ego was like, what, man, my love is going to be strong enough to get through this, man. And then the woman that gave birth to me, my mama, said, you shouldn't marry her, man. And I was like, no, mama, I understand as, you being my mom, it's almost like a slight jealousy that, another woman is kind of like taking your place. But, when her mom told me not to marry her, fam, how many more red lights and red flags can you see? So it was one of those, once I was in it, I was like, okay, your hard head got your tail in here. You did the do. So how can you make the best of it? So it was actually loving her the best that I possibly could with what I had. It was, taking care of my kids and doing what I was supposed to be doing. And like I said, it still ended up in divorce, but I got some great kids out of it, man. I got some life lessons that has, truly catapulted my marriage that I'm in now. I've been married for 15 years now to my habanero sugar, as I call her. And man, it's been a blessing, but it was taking the lessons from the last relationship and actually applying them to the new one. My big thing for me right now is not to lie to myself, to really pay attention that I'm being truthful and honest with God and with myself in everything I do.
A lot of our viewers and listeners, they are different chapters in their own walk, in their own life, in regards to career or dreams. But for you, when did you notice that the roadmap you had needed some adjustments in order for you to actually pick up the pieces and move forward?
Yeah. And it's a combination of both. To know that, I felt like in my 20s, man, I didn't really get a true understanding of who I was as a man. So it felt like as soon as I hit that number 30, it was almost like a magical number for me, because it made me sit down and actually do some inventory of what do I really want to do with my life, So I'm a firm believer that everybody is born with a gift. Everybody is born with a gift. And the question is, how do we discover what that gift is? Because we don't come with a blueprint. We don't come with an instruction manual on what that gift is. So at 30, I had to ask myself the question, and it's these 3 questions, and I always simplify it as much as I possibly can. The first question I asked myself is, what is it that I like to do that I love helping people do? That was the first question. And I was like, okay, and I always use an analogy. So an apple tree doesn't strain to grow. An apple tree produces fruit naturally. It don't have to strain to grow. So I'm like, what is it in me that's gifted to help other people live their best life without me having to strain to do it? And I'm a really upbeat and positive person, and I always constantly feed myself with positivity. So it was like, how can I share my gift of positivity with other people so that they can get through anything? Like I said, fatherlessness, divorce, bankruptcy, addiction, whatever it may be. How can I help them get through this? So sharing my life with them in a positive manner, with the experience that I've been through, sharing that. Then number 2, what do I do that it is so easy for me? I mean, it's just like I said, it's not a strain. So when I'm teaching, man, I love motivating, especially men. I mean, I love motivating all people, but men, especially men, man, because I know as a man, sometimes we don't have that foundation that I believe every man should have before they even get married, to know, financially that you set, knowing that, you've done your homework, you've done your therapy, you've done your counseling, whatever it is to help you become the man that you knew you could always be. And then to take care of that body. And then it's always that thing of, what's that thing that really makes you mad? I think people don't ask themselves that enough. Is there something in this life that really ticks you off? And for me, still to this day, it's when men don't take care of their kids. That is one of my pet peeves. And it's because, my father wasn't there for me. So what I did was I took the energy of that, ticking me off. I took that same energy. And now what do I do for a living? I teach men how to take care of their kids and get off drugs and lay that foundation for their life. So there's something in this life that's supposed to, drive you and wakes you up every morning. And it's like, what is that thing that I could do? And is to help men get their relationships reestablished with their kids, man. Because when I'm ministering to that man to get his relationship back with his kids, I'm basically ministering to my dad, getting me back in his life. I always constantly be thinking about that constantly over and over again in my life. So that 30 was a rock point that I had to ask myself those questions like, man, I really want to live my best life, but I'm going to have to really sit down and do some inventory.
Sometimes you don't know the best until you start asking the right questions. And, growing up, at least when I was growing up, they always said, if you have questions, there's no dumb questions. It's only if you don't say anything to figure out where, you're guessing
Mm-hmm.
at. Because a lot of times we think that we're not worthy enough to explore the options because we feel like, well, let's just settle here. Well, that's the wrong idea.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Because life is going to move fast, and You never want lifetime to outpace your progress. And I mean by that is progress is when you truly say, where am I? And then what am I going to do about it? Because you don't want life to go by so far that it's almost too late to even do something about it. And that's the sad part, that it can be a real reality for you to not allow that become your reality, because you're helping people now. You're doing the things, you made the adjustments, you did the tweaks. How powerful is that for you to be in position to pay it forward, if you will, to others, so that they don't ever reach that point where it's a little bit too late to change?
Yeah. So on Thursdays, I have the privilege and the honor to go into a nursing home on Thursdays. And I get a chance to, do some activities with my wife. So we get a chance to work together. And at that nursing home, I'm always going to hear the same stories over and over. And this is the part that was so crazy, is when you hear, I wish I would have. I wish I could have. I wish I should have. And I'm like, that is always my motivation to go back into the rehab, and go back into the psych ward and say, you know what, guys, it's the time for you to live your best life is right now. Please, whatever you do, whoever you're in contact with, whatever environment you are in, if you have questions, please openly ask the person that's in front of you that has a little bit of expertise what they did to get where they're at. I think the two biggest things that bless me so much, man, and it's quite a few in my life, but the two big that really stick out to me is when I wanted to write my first book. I still only wrote one book so far, but when I wanted to write that book, it was a friend of mine that I went to high school with. He had wrote 10 books, cookbooks. He wrote murder mysteries. He wrote male erotica books. My man could write, and he still can write to this day. And I said, Marty, can you do me a favor, brother? I'm trying to write a book. So can you help me write it? And so he said, send me the material. Brother, within 30 minutes, he sent me back my book with a cover on it on the internet. And I was like, so Lord, all I was one question away from finally having my book accomplished. It took 15 years to collect all the data and get it to where I wanted to be at. It took 15 years for me to do that. And it took him 30 minutes to just put it all together, all from a question. And then secondly, you don't even know who you're in the environment with when it comes to other people. Because one of my boys, Earl Cross, loved this dude. And me and him was hanging out having a cup of coffee. And I said, Earl, man, I would love the podcast, man. And Earl said, John, I ain't got a clue, brother, on how to do podcasts. But I know somebody that knows how to podcast. And so once again, it was just casual conversation, said a question, threw that out there. And then I ended up getting a chance to be on my own podcast. So it was two questions that really catapulted my life to where it's at today. And I'm super grateful. And it was all because I wasn't afraid to ask those two questions. And fam, there's, like they said, we've already said it before, there's no such thing as a dumb question, stupid question, irrelevant question. If you have that question, ask somebody for the answer so you can get that kind of life that you say you want. I really wished in my heart that before people graduate from high school, I really wish they would go spend time with people in professions that they think they might want to go in, because most college students, at least half, end up changing their major in college because they thought they wanted to go into that field. But once they started doing more research and doing the actual homework for it, that they didn't really like what they were doing. And all that could have been resolved by them going to hang out with, I want to be a barber. Go hang out with a barber. You want to be a tax man. Go hang out with an accountant. You want to be a dentist. Go ask a dentist if you can be on one or two, appointments. So it's always going out there and asking the questions of before you get, like I said, too deep into your life. Let me ask some questions before, I feel like life has passed me by and I won't ever get a chance to do it. Because, guys, there is a such thing as there's not such thing as an unlimited amount of do-overs in life, because sometime in life will pass you by. And fam, we don't have a time to do it over. It's either now or never sometimes.
Going back what you said with the nursing home, hearing them say what they wish they would have, could have, should have. I mean, that in itself should be inspiring for those who are listening and watching, because if you're not there yet, then it's time right now. Now is the best time. If it wasn't 2 years ago, now It's the time, because you mentioned barbershop and dentists, all those people, professionals that you can ask questions, you won't be in that field. Well, I tell people all the time, and no, if you listen to the show, watch the show, I'm not going to give you the long story. But I always want to re-emphasize anytime I have opportunity to, and that is when we started in 2017 at a barbershop, we had limited resources. We had no clue what we were doing, at least me. I did not know what the heck I was doing. I just knew that someone said, hey, you have a voice for radio. You need to start using your voice, man. Like, it's a gift. Like, you should just do it. I'm going to just be real with y'all. Man, it is not as easy doing it versus thinking about it and seeing it. Yes, the vision can be amazing, but with that vision comes reality. And it don't just knock on the door. Sometimes it kicks the door down and say, here I am. What's next? What you doing? I just said this to the interview I had earlier today, and that is, there was an older gentleman at a barbershop, and he was just watching us do our interviews, and he asked me, he said, what's next? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, it's nice that you do this at the barbershop. I kind of been watching what y'all do and stuff, but what are you doing next, man? Like, this is where it ends? Like, you just gonna stay at the shop? And my immature self at first was like, wait, first of all, I don't know you. Second of all, you don't know what I've been doing. Thirdly, I've been getting some cool guests on the show anyway at the barbershop. So what do you mean what's next? But it hit me. What he's really saying is radio show, be on the 12th floor, doing all this stuff, because that's where we are now. We speed up to 25. But we talked about there's nothing wrong asking dumb questions or just asking questions in general. A lot of times they spark moments, because the moment the older gentleman, which I don't even know to this day, I don't know. He just was someone who wanted to be in the shop. What he did was he took time to poke me and say, yo, nudge me, sounds better. And be like, man, like, what else, man? Like, this can't be all it. I can't help to say that to your story.
Yeah.
You could have been like, man, fold up shop. Let me just enjoy the rest of my life. It is just play the violin, latest hits. Yeah. But I'm sure you probably had the moment in your quiet time. What's next for John? So touch on that, because I feel like until people who are watching, listening, ask themselves that hard question, they really won't face it.
Yeah. And so I really feel my next is to go into the high schools or start my own program where we talk about the five, so I'm real big on, like I said, the financial, we deal with the relationships, we deal with the health, we deal with the mind, we deal with the spirit. And I'm a firm believer that, man, everybody has to deal with those 5 areas one time or another. So, and if you're thinking about and the reason why I really want to hit the high school kids is because, and I always put myself in their shoes, is college isn't for everybody. I really firmly believe that, what, and the statistics show it, between only 30 to 35% of people are going to college. So I want to talk to that 65 to 70% of people that don't go to college. And you still, guess what? You still got to go to work. You still got to make money. You still, all of us more than likely desire to be loved and to love somebody with everything we got. All of us desire to be in some kind of, decent health, so we don't have to deal with health problems. Most of us want to, keep our mind sober, and not just off of drugs and alcohol, just keep it sober, keep it focused on whatever it is that you're doing in life right now. And then I'm a firm believer, you're a spiritual being, we got body, soul, and spirit. So if I can help kids to lay down a firm foundation, to have that set for their lives, man, and that notice if all hell breaks loose, they'll still have that foundation to rely upon. And guess what? Sometimes you can climb the ladder and you're doing pretty good, but come to find out if the ladder's, leaning on the wrong building, then you know what, man, that whole thing might collapse. And so, but if it does collapse, and it's just like in construction, if the roof of this building where I'm at right now falls in, guess what? We can put another roof on there. If the walls of this building fall down, we can put some more walls up. But fam, if the foundation is cracked, we got to scrap this whole building and start all over again from scratch. And the beauty of it is, if you can have that firm foundation laid, man, life from here on will be so beautiful for you. And that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to work on right now, is to get some grants and things of that nature to establish a program for high school kids so that their firm down foundation will be laid. And I would be super grateful to do that until I take my last breath on this planet.
And when people, by the way, listen on Refocused Radio and watch us online, talking to John Bacon, go to his website, kingdomservantsfirst.com. When people think about real motivation, I mean, whether me personally or someone watching us, listen to us, they listen to their favorite tunes, or they watch the favorite basketball team, NFL team, whatever it is that gets them going. We all have that, right? We all have that.
Do.
But when that thing fades, and life comes out of nowhere, this is my favorite part. Life, like I said earlier, it'll kick down the door. And if you don't have that strong foundation that you speak of, that motivation evaporates. And if you don't have something that gets you going again, you can end up being completely stuck. So I want you to kind of touch on that for our audience, for those who feel like, well, life ain't bad. It's just that I have my moments. Sometimes days are great, but then other times I'm just in this funk. What would we say to that person to encourage them to just keep pushing?
Yeah, I think 3 things you got to do. I'm stuck on the number 3. That number does it for me. So when I'm in the drug and alcohol rehab, just using that one, there's 3 key components you got to have if you want to get sober and stay sober. And that is, you got to have a blueprint. And so we'll say NA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, whatever that may be for you. So we got a blueprint. And then you got to have a sponsor, which is somebody that's got a little bit of experience of, being sober for however long that may be. You got that. And then you also got to have your community. So that's pivotal that you have those 3 things. And we'll go back to, let's go use the Bulls. I'm a Pistons fan myself, but I'm going to go use the Chicago Bulls. When Mike understood the 3s, it goes back to the 3 again. What's the foundation? The triangle system. Who was the coach? It was Phil Jackson. And who was his community? Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen. We can go on. So notice it's them 3s again. And so now I'm going to go with a person that you feel like you down and out, or, life just ain't giving you that extra boost that you need. I'm going to go with the 3s again. You got to watch what you think. You got to watch what you say, and you got to watch what you believe. And notice where they at on your body. They lined up. Because if them 3 ain't lined up, baby, you talking about when Albert Einstein said, what did Albert Einstein? Albert Einstein says, he said, what is trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Insanity. And what I call self-torture is knowing what you're supposed to be doing, but you ain't doing it. You fighting you.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And that's the worst person on this planet to be fighting, is fighting you. So if you can line these 3 up with me saying, like, I want to be physically fit this year. And so I'm thinking about all kind of workout routines. I'm thinking about diet plans, all that. I'm thinking it. So I'm doing good right there. I'm verbally saying it out of my mouth. Man, this is the year, baby. I'm finna set this thing up. I'm finna take my body to a whole new level. So I got my mind right, got my mouth right. But if my heart says, for the last 5 years, you've been trying to lose weight. So what makes you think you're going to lose weight this year? See, notice 2 of them was lined up. But if that 3rd one ain't lined up, man, I'll never get out of my rut that I'm in. So if I can line up what I think with what I say and what I believe, and make sure I continue to repeat that over and over again, more than likely, you're going to definitely get out of your funk of what you in at that moment.
I like that, because I just a couple of days ago interviewed an athlete, and he talked about, it's funny, it's probably the 2nd time saying this since yesterday, but he said something very profound, because he was on Sports Illustrated cover, all that, the whole 9 yards. He was a champion, all that. And what was cool is he made a statement in the interview. And his name is Brandon Dave. Y'all want to look him up. He said, with all the hype, all the accolades, all the great things that came with being a top athlete, he said sometimes the brightest light casts the darkest shadows. And he said, what I mean by that, and I'm paraphrasing, but sometimes you have the highest highs, but you can also bring the lowest lows. And that's where you see your real self. And for him to say that, I had goosebumps because I'm like, yo, that's deep. The only someone who's been through something can have that kind of observation. For you, what kept you motivated to face that beast? Because it's one thing to think happy thoughts, but it's another thing to be in the trenches and you truly are working on yourself.
Yeah. And that's why that is so key about that verbal piece, because we all deal with mental issues, man, at one time or another. And you know, I always tell people, you know, working in psych, you don't have to be labeled bipolar or schizophrenic. Every human being has depressing thoughts. Every human being has anxious thoughts. That don't mean you have to be labeled bipolar or schizophrenic or depression or anxiety. But knowing that if you as a human being, all of us is an even playing field, you're going to have anxious moments where you start stressing out about your future. You're going to have depressing thoughts about decisions in your past you could have made and done differently. But if you can get to the point where don't just think those negative thoughts, verbally say out your mouth what you need to say so you can hear that your thinking is off. If you can verbally say out your mouth the thoughts that you know you need to be thinking and what you need to be saying, but you need to hear yourself say it, because part of us, when we get into our funk of anxiety or depression or, you know, under addiction with substances, we isolate. And when we isolate, there is nobody's voice we're hearing. Now we're contemplating a lot of thoughts, but we're not hearing anybody's voice. So part of people's success stories is being able to verbally say out loud what you need to hear. And you might not even be feeling it right now. So I'm not one of those people that says fake it to make it. I'm big on that. I don't want to be faking nothing. I'm saying it until I can get into my spirit and really believe what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying is on point, but I'm just not feeling it. And if we will get caught up on our feelings and emotions as human beings, and we were never meant to do that. We were always meant to have that thought in our heart that's carrying us through to where we need to be at. And because it's going to be moments, like I said, you're not feeling it. You know, I woke up this morning and I sit on the side of the bed at 6 o'clock this morning. I did not want to work out, but I can always hear myself say when I was 18, I want to work out for the rest of my life. And so far, God bless, at 57 years old, I don't have no aches and no pains. And I truly contributed to the blessings of God. And also, guess what? Getting my tail up out that bed every morning and doing some kind of workout. But it'd be many a time I just don't feel like working out. But I know the bigger picture of what I really want out of my life is I want to be healthy for the rest of my life. So that's part of, guess what, getting past the I don't feel like working out today. Okay. The cool part is every time I've walked out the gym, I've never said one day in my life in the 30, I think it's been 38 years now, 38 years now I've been working out. I've never said one time in my life, doggone it, that was an hour waste of my time, ever. It's always been after I finish working out, man, I'm so glad I went through that workout, boy. Now I got the energy I need to fulfill the rest of my day. But it goes back to, I didn't feel like it at the beginning of the day. But I always have this statement that I say over and over again, and I say it in my podcast. I almost say it at every class that I teach. I always say valuable information applied equals success. And I don't care how valuable the information is if you don't apply it, you will never be successful. And notice what I said, valuable information applied. I didn't say valuable information that you feel good about or valuable information that, you know, guess what? Oh, man, that sounded so good. None of that means nothing. If I'm not putting no application on it, that's just a wish. That's just, you know, Disney and fool. That's when you wish upon a star, and wishing ain't gonna get you nothing in life. You got to get to the point where you actually apply the information that you know to actually get the results that you say you want. And if you don't have it, remember, we went back to that. Let me ask somebody for the answers, man, because this is the coolest part so far in my life. 95% of the time, the information that you ask people for, man, that's free. Is that you ain't got to pay for nothing. You ain't got to pay for no master class. You ain't got to pay for no mastermind class. All you got to do is just ask the person, get brave enough, kill your pride and ego, move out the way and say, you know what, let me ask this person that I see with the results of what I want. and I got to take this information they give me. It's cool that they took the time out to give me the information, but will I actually sit down and apply that information so I can have that life?
Glad you said it, because I talked to a guy earlier today, CEO of his own company, business, doing big numbers. This guy reaching millions of people. So I'm like, yo, everything you said in this interview, I'm going to be taking notes for this show, because you obviously found a connection. And
yes,
it's important to connect to things, because you said reference isolation is a bad thing. And I believe that's true. But going back to the guy I interviewed, what is so amazing is that if you actually do try to ask people who actually did something that you're striving to be, and to your point, he said everything parallel to what you're saying moments ago. That's when you truly start moving the needle, because now it's not about the happy thoughts and I have to manifest this or I have to meditate on this. All those are great tools, but unless you actually start doing things that gives you progress, because it may not work for everybody. That's why you got to keep striving. So my last thing I'll ask for you is, in the pursuit of being the best version of yourself and how you are able to serve your community, what do you hope your legacy can be? Because looking back, I think most of us, when we watch this episode, I don't want to be in my nursing home saying, man, I wish.
Man, it goes back to, if it was all said and done, man, I always go back to the foundation of the foundations for me, man. I always tell people, man, if you got that relationship with Jesus, man, and your faith could carry you through. Because sometimes, man, I'm my own worst enemy, bro. I'm my own worst critic. I'm my own worst enemy, demon, as far as I'm concerned. But if knowing that, man, if I keep my focus on when everything is just at a standstill, it's almost like when you're working out and you hit that sticking point, like, man, I can't get past 315 pounds, whatever that thing is. And you be like, okay, what is it going to take? Sometimes it might be breaking that thing all the way back down, starting all the way back up. And it really is that, man, if my legacy could be one thing, man, just if you can have faith in God, man, and believe what God says about you, because you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're made in the image and likeness of God. When he made you, he showed off. He took the mold and he shattered it. He'll never make another one of you. So my job is never to be like somebody else, be like Mike. I ain't trying to be like Mike. I'm trying to be like John and be the best version of myself that I can be. And it's digging deep down and saying, God, what did you place me on this planet to do? If I take my last breath, I'll be like, man, make sure you got a relationship with God, and make sure you love you, because you taking care of you is a blessing for everybody that's around you. I always use it as in when I hustle and, make money, I love making money, love doing that. But I'm going to take my money and spend it on my wife and kids. I love hanging around people that's encouraging, that's uplifting. Those same people going to hang around my wife and kids. And if you notice everything I'm saying, I do this stuff for me. I really do. But brother, it blesses everybody that's around me. I take care of my body. I love taking care of my body. I show the young men how to take care of their body, so that they, from that point on, guess what? They'll take that legacy of, what? He preached to me. He told me that taking care of my body was a good thing. And now I believe that for myself. So sometimes you might have to be that person that if I was on my deathbed, man, I want to have enough faith for you I want to have enough faith for you until you can have enough faith in yourself. So the biggest thing I would say is, man, have a relationship with God, man, and let him do what he does best, man. And that's show up and show off in your life.
It's great stuff. I always say it's masterclass, but it really truly is on this show. I feel like so much, not just history, but education, powerful moments. People can listen to this over again and probably learn something even more brilliant. So with all that said, I want to say thanks for spending some time with us on the show, sharing with our audience. If someone is listening and watching, they want to connect with you, what's the best way that they can find your resources and find out what all you do?
Yes. Going to my website right there, kingdomservantsfirst.com. And I'm on there. You got my books on there, the different courses that I teach. Also, me and my wife, we do marriage conferences together. So however way, you need to be blessed, man. We are just servants for the King. And so we just want to be a blessing to whoever we can possibly be at in trying to help people lay their foundation to have a strong and fruitful life.
All right, man. Well, like I said, I want to say to our guest, John, like always, thank you for your time, man.
I appreciate you, sir. God bless you, man.
Breaking news from the stadium tonight as an anonymous fan foot the bill for 55,000 hot dogs, bringing that sweet tubed meat to everyone in attendance.
Free dogs! Yeah!
55,000 hot dogs? What does that even cost? While the identity of this Frankfurter philanthropist remains anonymous, their all-beefy generosity will go down in history.
The new Mega Millions. More to win means more to give. How you spend it is up to you.
Yeah!
For game odds and details, visit SCEducationLottery.com.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here, and you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
Order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.